Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I'm going to invite us all just to take a deep breath for a minute. My paper says I'm supposed to welcome you to Shabbat, so welcome to Shabbat. I especially would like to welcome tonight Dr. Charity Chandler Cole, who is here with us tonight from LA Voice. She's going to speak in just a little bit, not yet. We'll let her settle herself into Shabbat services and Shabbat at Temples of Hollywood, but we are so excited to have you here and grateful for you being here tonight and excited to hear what you have to say. So thank you for taking the time to join us tonight. Let's keep taking deep breaths as we welcome Shabbat with Shalom Aleichem. We're on page 11.
Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Imelech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ochem Shalom, Malchei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Imelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Imelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malchei HaShalom, Malchei Elyon, Imelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Imelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zetchem Shalom, Malchei HaShalom, Malchei Elyon, Imelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Imelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Pretty soon, as in tomorrow, Aro Sokol is going to become bar mitzvah, and in a couple of weeks, Zelda Smith is going to become bat mitzvah. So I'd like to invite them up with their families to come and light the Shabbat candles. Beautiful. Let's bring the light into us 3 times. And we'll say the blessing together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של Shabbat. Beautiful. You can all go back to your seats.
In a world of profane sights and ordinary thoughts, where gossip crowds out speculation and annoyance leaves no room to share each other's sufferings, we pause before profane things drown us out, that we might dwell upon the specialness of life, the electricity of godly moments, the lonely splendor of certain places, the holiness that at rare occasions in our lives encircles us with the reality of God. Yedid Nefesh is on page 8.
Ay, 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 ay,
continue welcoming Shabbat on page 20, Lachune Ranana, with our Psalms for Kabbalat Shabbat as we receive Shabbat and let it really soak in this week. I invite you to keep taking, I don't know if you need it, I guess I keep needing it, keep taking those deep breaths as we enter the season of Passover and springtime and reflection and redemption. Let's welcome Shabbat with all we've got and really let it soak in as we find those periods of rest in all of it. We're on page 20.
Lechu neradena l'Adonai. Lechu neradena l'Adonai. Naria litzur yishenu. Lechu neradena. Page 24, or Zerubbabel, la 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 la, la tzadik, or Zerubbabel, la 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 la, la tzadik, Yisrael simcha, Yisrael. Life of goodness, be the righteous one. Live a life of kindness, be the righteous one. Live a life of holiness, be the righteous one. And let your heart shine out. Or Zerubbabel, la 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 la. Or Zerubbabel, la 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 la, la tzadik, Yisrael simcha, Yisrael simcha, Yisrael.
on page 28.
Adonai Oz, Le'amo Yitein Adonai Yivarech et Amo. Adonai Oz, Le'amo Yitein Adonai Yivarech et Amo.
Lachadodi is on page 29. Tonight we're singing all the verses, right? We're singing all the verses, 1 through 9.
Lecha Dodi, Rakala, Bene Shabbat, Kabbalat, Shamor v'Zachor v'Dibur Echad, Yishmi'anu El HaMichad, Adonai Echad, U'Shemo Echad, V'Shemo Tiferet V'Nitehila, Lecha Dodi.
בשלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, לך דודי, לקראת כלה, בני שבת לקבלה, לך דודי, לקראת כלה, בני שבת לקבלה. יה לה לה לה, 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 יה לה 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 לה, לך דודי, לקראת כלה, בני שבת לקבלה, לך דודי, לקראת כלה, בני שבת לקבלה. Page 31. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, ולזמר לשמחה עליון, להגיד בבוקר חסדיך, ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בכינור. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, ולזמר לשמחה עליון, להגיד בבוקר חסדיך, ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בכינור. יה לה לה, יה לה לה, לה 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 לה, יה לה 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 לה, יה לה 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 לה, יה לה 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 לה, יה 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 לה 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 לה.
Page 75, please rise for the Baruch.
La 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 la, 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 la 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 la. Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai Please be seated.
I'm on page 76. Blessed are you, eternal God, soul of the universe, by whose design the evening falls, by whose command dimensions open up and eons pass away, and stars spin in their orbits. You beat the rhythm of day and night. The alternation of light and darkness sings your creative word. In westering sun and spreading dust, God of all things, you are made manifest, eternal, everlasting God. May we ever be aware of your dominion. Beloved are you, compassionate one, in this serene hour of nightfall. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv, Aravim.
I'd like to invite up Zelda and Aro to join me for Shema and Ve'ahavta. You can bring your siddur. You might need it. Come on up. Two of you can stand right here at this music stand. And can you grab that microphone? And the two of you can share that mic. Come on over, Aro. We're on page 79. Ready? Here we go. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Emet. Very good. Yasher koach. You can go back to your seats. Thank you.
This is by Ruth Bryn. No one ever told me the coming of the Messiah could be an inward thing. No one ever told me a change of heart may be as quiet as new fallen snow. No one ever told me that redemption was as simple as springtime and was as wonderful as birds returning after a long winter. Rose-breasted grosbeaks singing in the swaying branches of a newly budded tree. No one ever told me that salvation might be like a fresh spring wind, blowing away the dried, withered leaves of another year, carrying the scent of flowers, the promise of fruition. What I found for myself, I try to tell you. Redemption and salvation are very near, and the taste of them is in the world that God created and laid before us. Micha Mocha, our Song of Freedom and Redemption, is on page 82. Rabbi Ferdinand Isserman once said, "Pray as if everything depended on you, on God." I'm going to say it again. It's like the whole line. Pray as if everything depended on God. Act as if everything depended on you. The Amidah is on page 87. Please rise.
Adonai, Sefatai tiftach, Ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, Sefatai tiftach, Ufi yagid tehilatecha. Oh God, open up my lips as I begin to pray. Oh God, open up my lips as I begin to pray. Adonai, Sefatai tiftach, Ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, Sefatai tiftach, Ufi yagid tehilatecha. as we are about to celebrate Pesach. We celebrate our exodus from Mitzrayim, Egypt, or Meitzar, from the narrow place, the restricted place. And in honor of that, I sing this psalm, Psalm 118. Min hametzar karati Yah. From within this narrow place, I cried out to Yah. The Holy One answered me from God's expansive space. Adonai is with me, I have no fear. What can humans do to me? Min hametzar karati Yah. Anani v'merchav yamin hametzar karati Yah. Anani v'merchav yam min hametzar karati Yah. Anani v'merchav yamin hametzar karati Yah. Anani v'merchav yam. Adonai li lo ira, ma yaseh li adam. Adonai li lo ira, oh ma yaseh li adam. Oh min hametzar karati Yah. Anani v'merchav yamin hametzar karati Yah. Anani v'merchav yam.
We're going to turn to page 239 to offer a Misha Berach for those who are in need of healing, of body, of mind, of spirit, who may be, as Shelley just said, in the Meitzar, in those narrow places. Someone who is in need of healing. We're going to bring them into our space tonight so that we can all hold you and all hold them and pray for their healing together. Tonight we pray for We're on page 239.
The words we will sing are Ana Elna Lefana La. Ana Elna Lefana La. Ana Elna Lefana La. Ana
It is my pleasure to welcome up here Francine Tansey. Francine is our TIOH Vice President of Social Justice. It's a big deal. Someone tell her it's a big deal. And Francine is going to introduce our speaker for us tonight.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
It's a great pleasure for me to be introducing Dr. Charity Chandler Cole this evening, a nationally recognized advocate, strategist, and changemaker. Born and raised in South Central LA, she has dedicated her life to transforming the systems that have historically failed children, families, and communities. She currently serves as the executive director of LA Voice, a multi-faith, multiracial, power-building organization committing to creating a more just, equitable, and compassionate Los Angeles. In this role, she works alongside a movement of faith leaders, community members, and advocates working to dismantle systemic inequity and build thriving communities grounded in dignity and justice. And I'm proud to point out that Temple Israel of Hollywood's social justice core team has been working closely with LA Voice for many years now, and we're really looking forward to working with Dr. Chandler Cole in her newer role here. So to go on, she has done so many things. Dr. Charity also serves as the chair of the LA County Commission for Children and Families. She helps guide policy, accountability, and innovation for the largest county in the nation. Her leadership centers the well-being, voice, and liberation of children, families, especially those most impacted by injustice. Previously, Dr. Charity served as the CEO of CASA of Los Angeles, becoming the first person of color and the first leader with lived experience to hold the role. There she led bold efforts to humanize the foster care system and transform the organization's advocacy through a lens of equity, dignity, and liberation. As an author and sought-after public speaker, Stanton Fellow wife, and mother of 6, might we just throw that in, because there wasn't enough going on, Dr. Charity's work reflects a fierce commitment to justice that is personal, generational, and systemic. She is a builder of platforms, disruptor of silence, and unwavering voice for those most ignored. And I'm really proud to bring her up here tonight.
Is it okay for me to say Shabbat Shalom if I'm not Jewish? Okay, well, Shabbat Shalom. I wrote this beautiful speech, and I told you, this happens. I'm so moved and so grateful to be here. I'm emotional because sometimes things come over me and you feel things and you come into spaces and you think you're going to say one thing and then God leads you in another direction. So I am going to go with where I'm being led today, and so I want y'all to give me some grace and bear with me because God has a message, and I'm going to learn that message along with y'all. But I'm just so grateful to be in this space. Thank you so much for welcoming me into your home. Again, I'm Dr. Charity Chandler Cole, the executive director at LA Voice, and my message that I thought I was going to deliver was from powerlessness to purpose, from purpose to power. But can I take this off? Because I'm a mover. I can't just stand in one space. I'm being called to talk about the cost of being called. And that requires me to tell parts of my story I didn't want to tell y'all today. You know, I wasn't always a doctor or a powerful person or someone who had influence in my communities and beyond my community. Again, I'm a daughter of South Central Los Angeles, and that comes with its trials, its tribulations, its burdens. Born and raised into poverty, but born and raised into a family with 2 parents who were married and who, you know, tried their best to love each other. My father was a pastor. My mother came from Baltimore, Maryland to be a model, actress, and singer, and instead she had 6 kids, and, you know, her dreams were somewhat thwarted. And I, after my parents' divorce when I was 10, didn't realize how poor we were until we were even poorer. And I, through that and through many other experiences, experienced the extraordinary consequences of our system's inability to see Black children and brown children and poor children for being worthy of any type of love and support, and we're punished constantly and overly. And my journey took me through the foster care system, the juvenile justice system, the criminal justice system, being trafficked, being hurt by systems that were put in place to protect me. Systems that weren't broken, but were designed to keep people like me in a certain box, in a certain place. And I remember being at my lowest after running away from my group home, running away from my traffickers, and hating God at this moment in time, because I had grew up being told that God was all of these things and he would save me and protect me and love me and everything would be great, and I didn't experience that. And so when I was at my lowest, and when I had no one else to call, I had this foundation to call on God. And I remember calling on God, like, I'm gonna give you one more chance, sir. One more time. And instead of hearing this loud voice or being given, just magically being better and, finding success and finding all the things, I got this fire, this burning desire within me of defiance, to defy the odds, to go after everything I was told I couldn't have, to become everything and anything I can dream of. And because I came from nothing, I decided to dream of someone big, someone grand. And I remember going through this process of speaking life into myself. And it's an exercise I do with kids and adults to this day. And I remember speaking so much power and life into myself that I started to believe the words I was saying after repeating them every single day. And I noticed that my shoulders would, fall back a little bit and my head would be held high. And I would just start applying for jobs I wasn't qualified for and getting them. Thank you. And at 19 years old, I became a senior branch account executive for City Financial. And then at 20, I was promoted to branch account manager for City Financial because I was the most profitable employee. And I was like, you know what? I didn't go to any high school really, but let me give college a try. And then went to college, West LA College, and was in the honors transfer program and transferred to LMU and graduated in the top 2% of my class. And not 10, 2, 2%, nominated for valedictorian. All these things started to happen for me, coming out of the situation that I was in. I didn't mention that once I ran away from my traffickers, I became a teen mom because while being homeless. And then, turned myself in while pregnant, and ends my punishment from running away was county jail. Not how can we help you, how can we support you, how can we see you. And so I now was on this trajectory as a young single mom, finding success and finding power in a sense. And I was like, I'm going to grow up and be this powerful sports and entertainment attorney and have an adjacent PR firm and be rich and successful and all these things, because I was finally starting to feel some type of validation, some type of power, some type of worth, right? And then God said, sweetheart, you thought I saved you from what you went through so that you could be successful? No, I saved you from what you went through so that you could be of service to your community. And I was like, no, I don't like that plan. I don't want to do that at all. And so I continued going down the journey and the path that I wanted to go down, and he kept redirecting me to service, to community, and it's something that I didn't want to go back to because I don't look like what I went through, and I just wanted to act like it didn't happen and just go on and be this other person and not tell this story, because back then I didn't have a voice. I can't tell my story and people will see me or see value and worth in my experience. There's no telling my story and people expecting a different outcome or a different experience. And then through that journey, God led me to an individual at my school because I didn't have any friends. I was a single mom. I was the only non-traditional student there. I was there with a purpose. I didn't join student groups. I didn't want to be friends. Honestly, LMU was very attractive to me because I liked black men and there wasn't many there. So I knew I wouldn't have any distractions. Can I be honest with y'all? Okay. So I was like tunnel vision. I was like, I'm going to go here and be straight and be narrow and not be distracted, And then he introduced me to this guy, Prophet Walker. And then we ended up sharing our stories and found out we both experienced some form of incarceration, some form of oppression, some form of punishment because we tried to survive. And then he said, you need to meet this guy. We're starting an organization called the Anti-Recidivism Coalition. And he introduced me to this Jewish guy, Scott Butnick. I don't know if anyone knows him. And I was like, who the heck does he think he is, trying to save us, come into our community and save us, you know? And then I realized later that God brought him to me to see what was possible. He brought him to me to shed the hatred and the fear I had of others that treated me so bad, others that didn't look like me. And he showed me love in a deep and interesting and unconventional way, in love from a person that was getting rid of their whole career, at the height of his career, the Hangover movies. I don't know if y'all seen Hangovers, but he was in the height of the Hangover movies. I think only the first one came out at that time. And he was willing, or maybe the second, but he was willing to give it all away because he met someone and he heard a story and he saw an opportunity to leverage his platform and his success to maybe, just maybe, help the world see and humanize people like me. And he didn't realize what that cost would be, the cost of others shaming him, asking why these people aren't worth it. They're not worth your time. They're going to make you look bad. They're going to prove you wrong. There's no such thing as helping formerly incarcerated people. Don't do it. Keep making movies. But he saw an opportunity to leverage his platform and his power for good. And for the first time in my life, I was proximate to a different type of power and being able to wield that power at the state capitol with legislators who are able to see us and hear us and see in real time my story, the things I experience, be heard and valued across the aisle and be translated into policies that helped people. But I didn't realize during that time, and we had a good time. We got laws passed, we built organizations, we've got people out of prison and rehabilitated them, like real rehabilitation, and helped them become successful, amazing, law-abiding citizens. But through this journey, I'm thinking, okay, cool, I'll do the advocacy thing. I'll be an activist, an abolitionist. I'll do justice work. And it'll be fine, right? It doesn't pay too well, but it'll be fine. And then I didn't realize that the cost would be being shunned out sometimes. That the cost would be still be looking down on because I was the first, right? The first Black woman, the youngest, the first person with lived experience. We were trying out this new world of how do we help people and how do we step aside and allow people with lived experience to be the ones leading their efforts, and we're standing beside them or behind them. And that came with a lot of folks wanting to demean you, diminish your value, make you feel worthless, make you feel that their titles and degrees meant more than your lived experience. I didn't realize that being the first CEO of something and being the first person of first that meant that I can blaze trails, but I could also burn them down. I could also be treated in a way, implicitly sometimes, of being reminded that I'm always going to be Black first, no matter what my title is, my degrees say, graduating 2%, how smart and brilliant I am, that the cost is always being Black first when you see me. That the cost is people trying to punish you in a way where you can lose your children potentially, having CPS called on you just for being good at your job. Being undermined constantly, the burden of leadership in this space, the burden of helping others, of taking in a nephew and realizing that he becomes one of your hearts, one of your children, and the burden and the threat of someone taking him from you simply because you are now a threat to society, because you have the power and the ability to change laws or to influence people or change hearts. And so when I think of the cost of being called, it goes beyond just my general experience. We have to ask ourselves, how uncomfortable are we willing to get today to answer our calling? Because we're in a time where we can't be complacent. We can't afford to walk away. We can't afford to turn our heads. We can't afford to be neutral because the cost of neutrality hurts people and supports systems. Sometimes we think being called means we're going to be big, we're going to have fame, we're going to be remembered, we're going to go down in history, we're going to be protected, we're going to be okay, we're going to be safe. But the cost of being called really means that we may be quite the opposite. We may be hated, we may be vilified, we may be criminalized, we may not be protected. But is it worth it? Is the cost of being disobedient stronger than the consequences of not being obedient? And so for me, I'm here at LA Voice, not because I wanted this job. Actually, right before I got this job, I said I will never, ever run another nonprofit again because my advocacy cannot be tied to my paycheck, and I am not showing up in spaces where I cannot be me, advocate the way I need to advocate. I don't code switch no more. I turned that completely off, so I don't even know how to do it anymore, you know? And I just did not feel safe in certain advocacy spaces, and I was like, I would never, ever do it again because the cost emotionally and mentally was too high. And I was like, God, I'll still do this work, but I got to do it differently. I'm not doing it in the nonprofit setting. And the second I said that, folks kept sending me this position to this job. And I was like, look, it's summertime, I'm traveling, I'm having a good time, I don't even want to think about this. And then people kept sending me this job. And then I had this deep conviction to apply. And because I'm obedient to my calling, and again, I'm terrified of what happens when I don't respond to my calling, I applied. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to get this job because I'm not holy enough, I'm not religious enough, I do a little, I cuss here and there, it's just not me, But God told me in that moment that you asked to be challenged, because I say this prayer every day. It's not, God, bring me success, help me be great at what I do. I ask God to guide me. Guide me in the direction you want me to go. Help me do and see and understand and acquire the skills I need to do what you need me to do. And you know what? Challenge me along the way, because I could use a little challenge. And he said, not only am I going to challenge you, I'm going to call you the most unlikely person, because I'm not an organizer, to show up at a time when the world may need you, when this organization may need you. And I don't know what that cost is going to be yet, but I'm okay with it. And so when I applied for this role, I didn't realize I was going to get it. I'm just being obedient. Let me be obedient, check the box, and go back to I was building a tech company. I was going to build this big tech software company. That's what I was doing last summer. And then I realized in this role that I could truly be me in the way that I want to be. I never thought there was a role that would exist where I can merge social justice, racial justice, and my faith, like on purpose, like without being punished. Like that was the job. And through this role, I realized that the work that we need to do is to make injustice morally, politically, and economically expensive. And that cost for many of us may mean having to disassociate ourselves with certain beliefs and ideas that we've held on to, having to reach out across the aisle, and what we do at LA Voice so beautifully is interfaith work, being able to understand each other without our families and friends really realizing what are we doing. Like my husband's like, you're going where? To what service? And he works with his people, he works with, Jews every day. His boss is he's surrounded, by your culture, by, your traditions, and it's beautiful, but I'm not. So for him to see me in this space, he's like, you're going where? And he's a little excited. He probably told his boss. But I'm asking myself today, like, what is the cost of me showing up in other spaces that people around me don't understand? But also, what is the opportunity to share love, to spread love, to be love? I'm afraid during this time right now. And I think it's okay for us to say out loud that we're living in scary times. We have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow, a few weeks from now, a few months from now. But the question I'm constantly asking myself is, who do I want to be in this moment? What type of leader do I want to be in this moment? What type of servant do I want to be in this moment? What type of person do I want to be in this moment? I'm challenging my kids with that same thing, because the cost for our kids here of being called may be standing up to injustice at your school. It may be standing up to a bully. It may be standing up to a practice at your school that you know in your heart is not right and that's not okay. My daughter had to stand up to that yesterday. It cost her friends. It cost the perception of what people are thinking about her or who they think she is. It cost me a lot of money at Lululemon to make her feel better. 9-year-olds can fit size 0, by the way. This is very scary. Don't tell anyone. Like, how are we here? But what I'm reminded of at LA Voice, one of the things we're doing are boycotts. We're boycotting Home Depot. We're boycotting Target. We're boycotting corporate enablers. And I went to my first boycott, and as I was there, I got this message that even though we are scared, even though we're being called to do work that sometimes we don't understand, sometimes we can't fully plan for, sometimes, like I said, we're not even protected against. God reminded me of the story of David. Y'all know who David is? All right. I know y'all know. I was reading a book. And he said, again, when he told me sometimes he's going to call the most unlikely people to do the most powerful work, he reminded me of David. And David stood up against who? Goliath. And Goliath, I keep bumping into this. She's like, what's wrong with this girl? And so Goliath, in all his garb, with his army, pounds and pounds of heavy metal covering him, going up against little David, who has 3 pebbles and a slingshot? And so, but David's like, I'm like, what was he thinking, right? He must have something on his side that no one's aware of, because everyone's probably thinking he's crazy. Like, he's about to get squashed. But David's going into battle out of what? An act of what? Obedience, right? And what David realized that no one else did was that all giants have a vulnerability, and that all giants have a weakness. And so right now, and I'm thinking of, we're being called to stand up to the giants of authoritarianism, to the giants of fascism, to the giants of racism, to the giants of injustice. And instead of running away like David could have ran away, I may have ran away. He stood up. He ran towards justice. He ran towards dignity. He ran towards humanity. He ran towards his calling, and he didn't care what the cost was. And when he slung that little pebble to the giant, Goliath was like, come and get me, not realizing that as soon as he lifted his arms, or as soon as he turned to the side or whatever that he was vulnerable. He had a weakness. Or his head being exposed. And what happened? He fell. He fell. This big giant who thought he had everything, could beat everyone, was protected on all sides, fell because he was coming up against someone who was being obedient to their calling, someone who wasn't afraid of the cost, and someone who had faith that whether I'm protected or not, I trust you. I have faith in you. And beyond that, what we're fighting for is so much bigger than just me. And so the question right now is, are we all, if we truly be still, and that's the message God gave me last summer, was just be still. Listen, child, you're moving so much, you're asking so many questions, but are you going to be quiet and be still and listen for the answer? And when I listened for the answer, I realized my calling was to go just forward into my purpose and into my calling, whether it was scary, whether I was afraid, whether it required me to interact with other communities, other people, other faiths. something sometimes we're afraid of because we're like, we don't know the practices, we don't know the norms, we don't know if we'll be welcome, we don't know if we'll be invited, we don't know how we'll be perceived, we don't know if we're good enough, if we're worthy enough, if we could articulate what we're thinking enough. And God says, don't worry about any of that. Because if you're obedient to your calling, I got you. And it doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. It doesn't mean it's going to look right. And I realize through that sometimes that's the journey we have to go on in order to develop and be the person God's calling us to be. We have to make mistakes along the way. We have to have errors. We have to learn something. And so at LA Voice, we're calling you all, we're calling people of all faiths and all races and all socioeconomic statuses to come together because we have something in common. The desire for love and dignity and humanity and justice. I was reading something and I put it in the speech I was supposed to tell y'all. And I might screw up the pronunciation, but I was so blown away by this phrase. And it's a call to pursue justice. It's Zedek Tirdof. Zedek. I practiced that. Zedek Tirdof. Justice you shall pursue. I was like, wow. Like, do y'all know that? Do y'all know that? Okay. So, of course y'all know that, but I was excited. But the Torah tells you to pursue justice. The question is, will you? Will you pursue justice? When you're called to pursue justice by your director of social justice, will you answer that calling, even if it doesn't feel right? And will you answer that calling regardless of the cost? And that's something I want you to think about, and sit with. What are you being called to do? Not dwelling on what the cost is, but understanding that it will come at a cost. And accepting that. Because there's a power that I have and that I feel in accepting whatever the cost is. I hope things work out. I hope it's great. I don't know, nothing crazy happens. But if it does, I've accepted it. Because I know where I'm going to end and land. And so the question for you is, are you ready to pursue justice regardless of the cost? Thank you.
Dr. Charity, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for inspiring us. We say Yasher Koach, filled with strength and goodness for you on your journey. Thank you for sharing your story with us. I don't know what else you were going to say, but thank you for sharing what you did, because it was really powerful and inspiring to me, and I'm sure inspiring to this room of people to go out and do something in this world to make a difference. Tomorrow. How about today? We're all meeting Francine. She'll make another announcement at the end of the service about where you're meeting her. And I hear there's a spreadsheet. Francine, there's a spreadsheet of things where we can learn how we can do things, correct? A Google Doc. A live a live Google Doc. It's live, everyone, where you can find out at all times where Temple Israel of Hollywood is taking action to help make this world a little bit better. Francine will share it with you at any time, or you can call the synagogue and get access to it. Dr. Charity, you are always welcome in this space. Can I out you that you said to me this is your first Shabbat service? This is Dr. Charity's first Shabbat service, and we certainly hope it's not the last. You are always welcome in this space, and we hope you'll continue to join us. And Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much.
Shabbat Shalom. Yasher Koach.
We're on page 282 for Aleinu. Please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם וגורלנו ככל עוונם, ואנחנו כל HaKadosh Baruch Hu. והשב אותה אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים. והשב אותה אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים. אין עוד מלבדו, אין עוד אפס זולתו, אין עוד מלבדו, אין עוד אפס זולתו. אחד, אדוני אחד, אחד ושמו אחד, אחד, אדוני אחד, אחד ושמו אחד. אין עוד מלבדו, אין עוד אפס זולתו, אין עוד מלבדו, אין עוד אפס זולתו.
You can be seated. As we transition into a space of memory, we remember those who are no longer with us on this earth. Tonight we remember the Yortzites of Vernon Beck, Susan Kaloff, Israel Dickenstein, Sylvia Epstein, Matthew Flynn, Peggy Freeman, Irving Kligfeld, Ben-Ami Mazur, Gertrude Mednick, Naomi Reisfeld, Carl Rossman, Nancy Seifer, Wolf Sobel, and Belle Weinstein. And we are commemorating the Shloshim of Michael Denman, Harvey Hoff, and Lynette Langman. If you are here to say Kaddish and I said the name of your loved one, would you please stand so we can recognize the mourners among us? And if I have not said the name of your loved one, please rise as I go around the room, and if you care to share their name with us, please do. If it is your custom to rise along with the mourners in solidarity to say Kaddish, please do so. And we turn to page 292 for Kaddish Yatom. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Ba'alma divrach hiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam olamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal, shemei d'kurisha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amiran ve'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav.
yaseh shalom. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down.
One announcement for tonight. Project Elijah is a project of Temple Israel of Hollywood that we have for Passover. If you have a space at your Seder table, or you can make a space at your Seder table, this year is the year to do so. We are looking for homes for people who are looking for Seders to join you so that they too can have a Passover Seder. If you're hosting this year and you'd like to invite someone, please be in touch with us at TIOH. You can tell me or Shelley, or you can call our office early next week. Passover's next Wednesday. We hope that everyone has a Seder to be able to go to celebrate the holiday this year. That's my announcement.
Okay.
Sticking to it.
Aro, Zelda, come on up and lead us in Kiddush. And everyone, come close, come to the middle. All right. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzav banu, v'shavat kosho, ve'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh bereshit, ki hu yom techilah lemikra'ei kodesh, zecher litziat Mitzrayim, ki banu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, ve'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh hashabbat lechaim. Take a sip, it's grape
L'chaim.
juice.
You want a sip?
And I'm pretty sure that there's a challah under here, but you're going to have to uncover it so that we know for sure. Pull it off. Ta-da! Ooh, let's have a motzi. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon. Would you take this and pass it out among the congregation? You can both share it. All right. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.